Fox News. California teacher who outraged parents with BDSM materials claims it helped kids' identity development. A parent from the California district said there shouldn't be prawn in classrooms. What was in the classroom made me sick. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am the Anti-Woke Warrior. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure that you're still subscribed. You can find me over on Rumble and on Twitter. I do have a merchandise store. You can find links in the description if you're interested in buying any merchandise with my logos on it. Let's get into this article. This is just frightening to me that children are being exposed to this sort of stuff in the class. Has no business being in the classroom, period, even at a college level, let alone being like down here at grade school kids. So this video, we'll take a look at this later because that's going to be interesting. But it says, why does the left want children to be exposed to inappropriate books? Chris Rufo. I mean, that is a good question. Why does the left want this to happen? First on Fox, a California teacher who boasted about a queer library which contained sexually explicit content, including information on BDSM, kink, and orgies, said the books helped students figure out who they are. Sure it did. Okay. The English teacher in San Juan Hills High, previously identified on the school's website as Danielle Serio, is known as Flint. Fox News Digital found that Flint posted repeatedly on TikTok about sexually explicit books, which the district was later forced to respond to amid parent outrage. Imagine that. The parents were mad that their kids, they're even in high school, were being taught about orgies and kink and BDSM, not to mention homosexuality and all the other things that go along with it. The school district previously claimed in an email to parents that the content was only available to a specific club, but that did not appear to be the case. The library was positioned in Flint's classroom, and it was available to all students, according to Flint's own commentary before Fox News Digital's story. Yeah, it shouldn't be in the school at all, period. There are certain things you don't put into schools, right? There are certain books I don't want to look at. I don't want to see a lot of this stuff that's out there. But I'm an adult. I can handle it. I can either put the book down, or if I, for whatever reason, cannot put the book down, well, hey, it's fine. I'm gonna get through it. It's not going to have some profound effect on me, most likely, because they're just images and words. But little kids and kids in general, especially these days, I know because I get them right out of high school. I mean, I'm teaching college, but they come to me right out of high school. They think they know everything, yet they're so super impressionable when it comes to this sort of progressive agenda. Like, if you challenge the progressive agenda with them, you're 100% wrong. So if you uphold the progressive agenda, they'll just 100% agree with you. It's like, wow, you people are just, this is sad what's happening to the world. But anyway, back to the article. In a video posted on November 21st, Flint discussed the outrage surrounding queer classroom library.
When they say inclusion, they mean putting pornography in front of kids. That's outrageous. I mean, they hide behind those words and try to make them sound like, oh, we're just being, it's just about inclusion. Okay, inclusion of what, though? That's the real question, right? Inclusion of pornography. Pornography has no place in our schools, okay? We can have a very robust academic dialogue in our classrooms that don't have pornography. What we've seen from the sexual material is I think they're wanting to turn kids against their parents. I mean, there's no other explanation for it. We used to want to emphasize parental involvement in education. Again, conservatives do, Oklahomans do, but the left doesn't. What the left wants is the government to raise kids. They want the government to determine what a kid's education looks like. They want to put that power in bureaucrats. And so they think that, again, in their mind, when they say inclusion, they're saying give pornographic material. Let's talk about transgenderism in first and second grade. Let's talk about sexuality in first or second grade. And then the kids go home and the parents go, no, we don't need to be having these discussions. And it creates this friction between the child and their parent instead of what we should be doing in the education system, which is helping parents be more involved. Again, as a teacher, I did all I could to go, Mom, Dad, here's what we do in class. I'll give you everything beforehand. So, call me, text me, email me. I want you involved, because the more involved you are, the more successful your kid's going to be. But the left's version of this is actually give your kid over to the government. Let's give as much power to bureaucrats and let's micromanage what education should look like. And let's continue creating this distance between mom and dad and their kids. And it's social engineering. I mean, that is their goal, is to create woke social justice warriors out of our kids. There's no other explanation for why you would be injecting these things in the classroom. The reality is being a good teacher is a really tough job. You have a lot on your plate. You have a lot of concepts that you want kids to understand. There should be absolutely no time where it should enter into the classroom that I want to indoctrinate or overly sexualize kids. It's just unbelievable that we've seen the left stoop this low. Reality is our founders put, that 10th Amendment says the powers are reserved to the states. Education is reserved to the states. So the reality is states get to determine who teaches. States get to determine how education dollars flow. States get to determine what are the academic standards. So what we're going to do here in Oklahoma is continue to lead the charge to say, Joe Biden, your America is not going to happen in our schools. You're not going to dictate to Oklahomans what our schools look like. Oklahomans know exponentially better than Joe Biden on what our schools should look like. Frankly, Joe Biden doesn't have a clue on how to educate kids. Joe Biden doesn't have a clue about a lot of things. So what we're going to continue to do is empower parents, utilize the accountability measures to make sure there's no left-wing indoctrination in our schools. And then again, we're going to continue to make sure that we got good folks on our school boards.
All right, so we'll maybe take a look at this article later. I want to go back to the original article here with Flint. Here's Flint. She has this small little library here. All of these books are about being a sexual deviant. Good job. People get really mad about my queer library. I have like 200 titles that are specific to the LGBT community that I've been curating for over 8 years. Don't get me wrong. My students love that library. It has been very helpful for many students figuring out who they are, how to relate to their peers. She said no. How come it was, when I was a kid, we didn't have these issues? How come nobody came to me and said, hey, look, I don't know what sexuality I am. I just can't figure it out. I don't feel like I fit in. I know that the kids did question what their sexuality was going to be, but they just were like, okay, well, I'll figure it out. And then they move forward with life. Instead of going, hey, I'm a total pervert. I got to figure this out by looking at books. Okay, then. That's just strange. Everything you ever wanted to know about being trans. Discuss BDSM fetishes and kink. Social media networking site. I find the BDSM/kink community to be extremely open-minded and welcoming in every way. It's a place of sexual liberation, the book stated. There is often more blanket level of acceptance of transgendered people within the kink BDSM, bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, sadism and masochism scenes, and sites such as FetLife. Yeah, because they don't care which you are. They just want to get their rocks off. FetLife is a social media networking site for the kink community. Yeah, of course. Flint's queer library includes This Book is Gay. Right here. It's got 2 versions of it. This book is gay. And that book addresses orgies and sex apps. Just what I want my kids learning about. Another book called This Book is Gay discusses the casual hookup site Grindr and includes detailed information on how to have anal and girl-on-girl sex. I'll just let you fill in the blanks. We all want to have sex with loads of people, the book states. The prostate gland feels amazing when massaged. Lots of men, gay or straight, like how this feels. Let's talk about, I don't think I can say that word on YouTube, but fake wieners that are used by people who want to put them into their bodies. I think a lot of people assume that where there is no wiener, a desperate sexual void is created, out of which something bleep-shaped must ultimately slot in order to satisfy, the book continued. I've only ever slept with 2 women who enjoyed using the fake ones. I hate wearing a fake one that is attached to my body. I've only ever done it once and never again. Wow! And this is just a small sampling of the 200 books. And those are only 200 books on LGBTQ, let alone or the other books that she has on other subject matter. It also included information on sex parties and orgies. Saunas and bathhouses are dotted all over the country, and they are perfectly legal. Many saunas run lesbian nights. People pay some money to enter and then have a bit of a sauna and some random sex. Again, this is fine as long as you're safe. No, it's not. It's not fine even if you're safe. It's not okay. Another book, The A through Z of Gender and Sexuality, also discusses kink and fetishes, as well as tucking, a process of hiding one's wiener, and, Lady of the Night phobia, stigma against women of the night. Well, you should have stigma against them. I mean, come on, what are they doing with their lives? What are they doing? Following outrage from parents in the district, an email was sent out which was obtained by Fox News Digital that claimed the books were only part of an extracurricular club. The district also asked for civility. We are aware of a news article questioning the appropriateness of books that were in a student club library. The district said the books referenced were available through a high school extracurricular club and are not instructional materials. However, we have initiated a review of these books, which is currently not available to students. Fox News Digital asked about the status of the review, but did not immediately receive a response. There shouldn't be prawn allowed in classrooms, David Averill, a parent in the district, told Fox News Digital. What was in the classroom pretty much made me sick. Yeah. It wasn't the first time Flint responded to criticism following the controversy. On another occasion, Flint questioned whether waves of criticism against the teacher were legitimate. The teacher should be fired, terminated, and imprisoned, probably. So, as a trans teacher with a pretty public platform, there will often be waves of criticism that I know better than to internalize. Every once in a while, there will be that little voice that says something like, what if they are right? What if all my efforts on this earth are all for naught? In those moments, it is helpful to step back, take myself way out of it, Flint said. And in response to that, this is what I say.
Am I so out of touch? No. It's the children who are wrong.
On another occasion, Flint said, I want people who follow me to know that I believe very much in what I'm doing, and I think my history as a teacher speaks for itself. Oh, so you've been indoctrinating children and exposing them to pornography for how many years now? The district, however, said at the time that they do not endorse Flint's comments. The district does not endorse the personal statements of any individuals speaking in their capacity as private citizens. Our jurisdiction only extends to comments made by employees in their official capacities. We have comments, look at that. She can claim her activism does whatever she thinks about identity, but children don't go to school for that purpose. Parents don't fund public education for that purpose. Children are sent to school, and parents fund public education for the purpose of being educated in basic skills that will prepare them for a career. If she or any other activist wants to promote otherwise, they should open up a school with their own funds that parents, students, can choose to attend or not attend. Yeah, that's pretty well said, NC Joe 672. She is not a teacher. She is a groomer. Her teaching license should be revoked. Her employment terminated and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Yep. I agree. We got a lot of comments here. Let's see. This is username Ballard. Thankfully, my kids graduated long before someone tried to help them decide if they were male, female, non-binary. Would not have been a good scene at the school board meetings. Yeah, I'm sure it wouldn't have been. So let's take a look at that other article that popped up. I kind of looked at this a little bit, but it starts out basically the same. But I wanted to point out this right here. One of the books, Juliet Takes a Breath. I wonder what that's about. By Gabby Rivera, contains extremely graphic imagery of sex between women. Everything you ever wanted to know about being trans. Discusses BDSM fetishes and kink society media networking site. Yeah, okay, great. One of the books says these are people who have already opened themselves up to a greater range of romantic and erotic possibilities, and transgender often just adds to the smorgasbord. The book states about those in the kink community. Wow. Another book called This Book is Gay discusses the casual hookup site Grindr. We saw that in the other article. You look at this person here. This is a person I would not want teaching my children. Just look at this. Is just tattoos on her fingers, purple hair, short hair. Yeah. She's when I hear a student casually gender me correctly. When someone says a singular they isn't grammatical, but you're a writing teacher with a master's degree. Yeah, so maybe I do have a degree in writing. You don't know. Okay, so Flint asked about whether she thought it's important to have a queer library on campus, and she said, in my educational experience, books are always a good thing, and any books that support our students, I'm for. All books are a good thing. Well, on a campus, in public schools, we don't allow religious texts. This is a religion that you follow. You're not allowed to do that. And even if it wasn't a religion, I still don't want that sort of stuff on campus in public school for children to explore. Those decisions, those very personal, private decisions should be determined by the parents of the student. Now, Flint has this to say.
I've been wondering lately why it's so hard for so many people in the general public to trust educators about education. The thing that we studied and do every day, it's been so long since they were in school, I'm wondering if they have extreme or outdated views about what's happening in the classroom.
They probably do have outdated views about what's happening in the classroom because they weren't expecting their children to be exposed to pornography when they went to school. What the hell? That has no place in schools. I mean, it's like why are my tax dollars funding something that's going to teach these little girls to be cam girls? That's what I want. Yeah, that's what I just want. All these little girls out there just getting railed by strangers in front of cameras, random strangers. That sounds like a good idea to me. No, I want them to be able to function in society in a capacity that's going to serve as many people as possible. That's how our economy works. That's how civilization has been built. Now, the article ends with this statement here. The books you referenced were available through a high school extracurricular club and are not considered instructional materials. However, we have initiated a review of these books which are currently not available to students. The statement reads, "Our commitment is to ensure that information and resources provided to students who participate in extracurricular clubs are consistent and in alignment with our policies. This review will include key stakeholders as we work together to support the social, emotional, and academic success of every student." There's no reason for you to be supporting the social and emotional success of our students. That is not your place, especially the emotional part. You're not supposed to be involved with our students emotionally. That's up to the parents. Now, understandably, parents could be abusing the children, and then somebody has to step in. Some other authority figure has to step in. That the school should be there as a protective agent, not as one who is guiding your emotional development, the emotional development of students. That's not their place. Their place is to educate. Their place is to teach us how we get along in a work environment. I also want to point out in this previous article here, I want to watch this. This is pretty crazy. So this isn't only happening in California. You think it's all happening in California. Oh, it's just California's terrible. It's, Sodom and Gomorrah out here where I live in California. Believe me, I don't run across that many gay people unless I go to LA. So as long as you're not there, and even then, I don't see that many anymore. I used to before the pandemic. I think I saw one gay guy at the gym yesterday, and I mean, he looked very effeminate. I don't know if he was gay. Maybe he's just really feminine. But let's take a look at this video. It's about 5 minutes long. I'm going to speed up the time so it'll go faster.
Sandra, there is a fight about what's taught in schools in Dearborn, Michigan. Parents are leading the charge against bringing sexually explicit books into classrooms. And at last night's school board meeting, they announced that they are suing the board for violating their rights to freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and due process. Chris Rufo, a Manhattan Institute senior fellow and City Journal contributing editor, has been following this story, and he joins us now. So an interesting twist to this fight about books in Michigan. This is Dearborn, Michigan, and the parents are Muslim Americans, Chris.
That's right. It's a predominantly Muslim American district, and the Muslim Americans in Dearborn have really rallied to the cause. They are outraged at these books, and these aren't simply books about LGBTQ issues, which is what the left would like to claim. These are pornographic, very explicit. They go into kind of X-rated sexual detail in many cases, and they're available in public school libraries targeting kids as young as elementary school. They don't have any fear about it. They are going aggressively to the school board saying, get rid of this. This is not what we came to this country for. This is not what we want in our schools, and as the voters, as the parents, we get to decide what's taught to our kids. And look,
well, my suggestion to all Muslims is go back to the country of your origins. I mean, honestly, if you don't want this stuff, what the heck? My video just disappeared. Now we're going to start it over. Oh, no. Don't worry. I'll skip ahead.
we get to decide what's taught to our kids. And look, I think they're an example for parents all over the country. You have to attack this with courage and without fear.
Now, back in October, the parents managed to shut down the school board meeting. I don't think that was their intent, but when the superintendent of the school board decided that there might be a fire code violation, they decided to suspend the meeting. And then last night, they made their views very clear to the school board. Listen here.
We have certain books that people have come and said, those books are no good for our kids.
We are blind about the process. As a parents, don't know what is this process. Who does the, who is the reviewer for the books?
I would love to learn how many lawsuits are there and how many judges actually rule that sexually explicit books should stay in the school. I bet you will find none.
Now, in Virginia, where they had a very similar debate, Democrats criticized Republicans for trying to ban books in schools. But when you take a look at the politics of this particular area, Dearborn, Michigan in 2020 went 69-30 for Biden. So this is not a Republican-Democrat issue, Chris.
It's not, and it's actually not a Republican-Democrat issue anywhere in the country. Most parents are pretty common sense. They want to have a wide diversity of books covering a range of topics. They want to show respect for everyone in the classroom, regardless of sexual orientation. But these are sexually explicit and pornographic books, often with very graphic depictions of sexual activity. This is just not appropriate, and it's certainly not a book ban to say that we don't want to have pornography targeting young children in elementary schools. The question is really for the left. Why do they want to have pornographic books being read and exposed to children? We should flip the script. We should ask them the hard questions and then see how they defend themselves once they're on the hot seat.
In fact, Chris, I looked at one of the parents reading from a book that you posted on your Twitter feed. It's from a book called Flamer, and we debated whether or not we could play out the crucial part of that and determined that on television you can't have words like that, at least not in daytime. But I want to go to call for number 3 here, because this again brings up the issue of whether parents have got an appropriate say in what their children learn in school and what's going on at school. The National Education Association, which is the biggest teachers union in the country, tweeted out in recent days, quote, "Educators love their students and know better than anyone what they need to learn and to thrive." That drew a lot of criticism from people saying, what about parents? And again, there seems to be this disconnect where educators in schools are saying, we know what's best, not parents.
That's right, and this is actually part of a long-standing political project on the left dating back more than 100 years into the 19th century. They believe that the state should replace the family as the key shaper of children, as the key shaper of youth. This is something that they've always dreamed of, and the teachers union letting the cat out of the bag, so to speak, is simply reiterating this idea. Conservatives need to stand strong with a simple message. Parents are the ultimate arbiters of the education for their children. They should be in a position of power over the schools, over the legislative bodies. This is the heart of our democracy, and we have to make sure that parents can determine what is appropriate and inappropriate regarding their children, especially in the youngest grades.
And if folks at home are curious about what was being read from the book, just go to Chris Rufo's Twitter feed. It's right there. Chris?
Oh, they're banning books. They're going to make that claim. But it's like these books have no business in a school. Like comic books. I love comic books. They don't have a business. They don't have any business being in a school. Not provided by the school. If the student wants to bring a comic book and say, hey, look, I brought a comic book. Check it out. Okay. But why would the school be providing comic books? Why would the school be providing Penthouse or Hustler or any of those? Playboy even. I mean, this is not what the school is for. Anyway, thank you for watching. So, after I recorded and edited this video, this dropped. The Daily Wire. Dean at elite Chicago private K-12 school brags about sex toys being brought into classroom for kids to pass around. Project Veritas investigation. So, yeah, it's time to get your family out of the United States, out of the West in general. Maybe move to the mountains of Nepal and just start farming, because the schools are trying to turn them into little pervert deviants. Now, this is a private school, so at least my tax dollars aren't going for this, but I'm willing to bet a lot of money that most, if not all, of the parents of these students did not know this was going on and would not approve of this going on. I mean, I consider my sister lives in Chicago. She's pretty liberal. She's all about, inclusion and equal rights and all that stuff. I get it. I'm not saying anything against those things, but I'm betting you that she would be against this right now. I know my sister well enough to know she would definitely be against this. She doesn't want little kids being exposed to this. And she works in medicine too. So it's not all this like, hey, look, the medical community is all about, hey, how this is part of a healthy lifestyle. I'll leave a link to this article. You can check it out. I wanted to add this in just because I saw it happen, and I knew that this video would be much better with this event that just dropped. So, again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.